Right, good evening, folks. This is the Finance Committee meeting. It is May 2nd, 2023, 5:33 or something like that. And we're gonna open up the meeting. Chairman Joe Didi is here, Vice Chair Alida De Maria. Say it right? Close? All right. I just stuck with that workshop, but Karen DeMayo, Paul Connolly is on Zoom, Robert Horacek is here, Dr. Zalowski is here. David Meth is here, and our associate member Sherry Knowlton is here. Sherry, we have enough members tonight, so we won't need you to vote. But you're
Okay.
more than welcome to listen and continue on with our conversations. How'd I do? All right? I got everybody? Good.
Yep.
Public comments, anyone? Hi, Paul, how are you this evening? You can hear us good?
Excellent, gotcha.
Great. Anyone online for public comment? I see nobody online. All right, and there's nobody in the room. Great. So let's start with the approval of minutes for 4/25/23. They're rather lengthy. Hopefully I should look them over, mostly motions and seconds and that kind of stuff. Everyone's comfortable with them?
Mhm.
All right, so I entertain a motion.
Motion, Dr. Zalowski.
The doctor made a motion. Second,
Karen DeMayo, second.
Karen DeMayo seconded them. All those in favor, Joe Didi, aye.
Dr. Zalowski. David Matthew.
Sherry. Nope.
Robert Horacek.
Karen DeMayo, aye. Alida De Maria abstained.
Abstain. Wonderful.
Paul Connolly abstains too.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
And do we have a reserve fund transfer? No? So what am I looking at? Does it? Okay, there is nothing. All right, on the agenda. Discussion and approval for the pros and cons of the financial articles for the special town meeting and the annual town meeting warrants. So folks, we should have our new paperwork in front of us with the new numbered, how they want them. What do you do? Right? Am I correct on that, Elizabeth?
The revised warrants. is
Revised warrants.
numbered
There you
on
go.
the-
Thank you.
So let's do the special first, since it's small. Sir, public comment has already gone through. Do you have anything you'd like to say before we start?
Y'all are doing a fantastic.
Say your name and address for the record, please.
Doug Moglen, 5 Hidden Place.
Thank you.
That's on my page.
All right. Now, Laura, were we all set with the special though? Didn't we do? Go ahead,
Let's just
reaffirm.
reaffirm the recommendations.
Okay,
And then.
so the first page, guys, Article 1, we had a little discussion about it last week. What would that, was it raises, what is it? And at the end of the day, after spending lengthy time with Laura, and getting educated, it's whatever we need to do to close out the year. Is what it comes down to. So if there's contracts that were in place since we started, if there's line items that were over or under, probably under, right? Or over, I should say. That's why you see those numbers there. Okay. So 1,100 police department secretary, there must have been an issue there when it came down to that end of our physical year, right?
Yeah, or it's a combination of some of the COLA increases that
Correct,
happened.
that happened, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully, guys, that makes sense to you.
Mhm.
Okay.
I thought you were reading Article 1.
Yeah, my Article 1 is on the special.
Okay.
It was underneath that.
Put it under that one of the special, another big flip.
Yeah, and it was, yeah, another hit.
It's just 2 pages.
Oh,
Mhm.
There you go. There you go. Now keep looking. I got faith
It's
in it.
probably on the bottom of the step because I see a little paper clip there
okay.
and it had
There's
its
2
own paper
clips,
clip.
right? Look in the bottom of those last 2 pages.
This guy, okay.
Remember, Article 1? Oh, that's stuff that we talked about or didn't talk about because we really didn't know what it was about.
Mhm.
So. So we just need a motion to recommend this article, correct, Laura?
Yeah.
Doctor, need a motion if you're
Motion,
saying.
Dr. Zalowski.
Karen DeMayo, second.
Those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Zalowski. David Matthew. Robert Horacek.
Karen DeMayo, aye. Alida De Maria, aye.
Thank you.
Paul Connolly, aye.
Thank you, Paul. And you better speak up, because I'm gonna miss you every.
I
time.
will. I've got you covered.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. So Article 2 is to see if the town will vote and appropriate the transfer from available funds free cash, the sum of $235,000, the following operation item to take any other actions relative to snow and ice removal, $235,000 requested by the DPW. I need a motion.
Dr. Zawarski.
Second, Karen DeMaya.
All those in favor, and this is a motion to recommend. Joe DDI.
Dr. Zawarski. David Matthew, aye. Robert Horacek, aye.
Karen DeMaya.
Alita Jean Maria, I.
Thank you,
Paul
everybody.
Conley, aye.
Yeah, Paul?
Well, it has to have to be pros and cons.
On these,
Yeah, because you didn't do the pros and cons.
what we'll do.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just get the articles done first.
Yeah.
Article 3, to see if the town appropriate transfer from available funds, free cash, the sum of 25,000 for to the other post-employment benefit trust fund, OPEB, established under provisions of MGL Chapter 32B, Section 20, as amended, or take any other actions relative therefore. This is requested by the town accountant. I need a motion, please.
Motion, Dr. Zawarski.
A second?
Karen DeMaya, second.
All those in favor? To recommend, the motion to recommend will be Joe DDI.
Dr. Zawarski. David Matthew, aye. Robert Horacek, aye.
Karen DeMaya.
Alita Jean Maria, I.
Thank
Paul
you.
Conley, aye.
Thank you. Article 4. Get that right. To see if the town will vote to appropriate and transfer from available funds, free cash, the sum of $675,000 for the following capital items, or take any other actions relative therefore. DPW Highway Road Machinery, 1-ton pickup truck, $175,000. DPW paving projects, $500,000. This is requested by DPW and the select board. I'm looking for a motion to recommend this article, number 4.
Motion, Dr. Zawarski.
Second, Karen DeMaya.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Zawarski. David Matthew, aye. Robert Horacek, aye.
Karen DeMaya.
Alita Jean Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you. And we did write. This is gonna be a Mike. We did write pros and cons, correct?
Looking at me.
I am looking at you, I'm sorry.
I did not.
Okay,
I missed things.
no, that's fine.
I didn't realize we had to do pros and cons for
Yep.
those.
So let's get your pen out.
Apologize, everybody.
That's okay.
No,
So the pro is, for Article 1 is to balance our budget, correct?
mhm.
2020.
23 to balance the end of our remainder of our 2023
Budget.
budget.
Last year, we had this article allows salary adjustments based upon negotiations with various bargaining unions, cost of living adjustments and market adjustments as determined by the select board.
That sounds okay.
Yep. And it was a failure to pass would cause the select board to renegotiate all the various agreements.
That sounds really good.
So I'd like to just suggest that we don't call them pros and cons.
So if we go through our packet, further down, Mr. Steinhardt, reached out.
Yeah.
And felt that it should stay pros and cons. If you look at you should have one in here to take a peek at that.
Okay.
But then went right to Carl and said, what are your thoughts? This is what Dave was feeling. And, he felt that this wasn't the time to
Well,
go down that road.
so include one part of summary of the articles, was pros and cons of each article. I don't know, I guess
And I told him where you were coming from with the object, how you automatically are against or not against it, just the way you speak. Right?
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna call it a con, then we shouldn't disguise it as a pro. And say it's a con, so in the instance that the example you just gave. You're really just giving two arguments for it, instead of objectively saying. A vote in favor of means this, and a vote against means that. We're disguising it as a pro and a con, but it's not really, it's two pros.
And would a con be, these people don't get paid?
No, well,
No.
a con would be if you,
I would say that the con for this is that renegotiating of the contracts is a significant amount of time for the town. So I just think, I get where you're coming from. I think it's in there. It's just that it's missing some verbiage to make it a true con. Because that is a con to have to renegotiate. That's significant time, legal fees, things like that. So we could add some verbiage to that. Yeah,
maybe that's what we have to do if we have to adhere to pro and
I'll take
con,
that.
because again, it's not really a con, and I'm not gonna endorse it, myself. I can abstain from it and
No, it's all good. This is why we're here.
But I don't think everything has a con.
if it doesn't
You
have a
just
con,
say
it
it really
have a
doesn't
con. I mean,
have
That's what I think there really isn't a con, because if we don't prove this, then we can close out the book and meet our obligations.
Correct. So it's time
How
and
is that
meeting
not a con?
obligations.
I think just it's just the verbiage that needs. to
No,
be
and I
added. I'll-
respect and
I'll- yeah,
understand.
I'll take
Yeah,
a
yeah,
stab at
I know
that.
you're, and I
But
do
it's
know
supposed to be
you're.
a con to voting for it. Not a con if you don't, because a con if you don't is just like,
You lost. me
pro if
already.
you
So,
do, right? It's a double negative. It's supposed to be, this is what you're gonna vote for. If you vote for it, there's a good side and a bad side, but we're saying there's a good side, and if you don't vote for it, there's a bad side, but that's just like saying that's like
There is a
saying
bad
twice
side
you
if you
shouldn't
don't
vote
vote
for
for
it.
it, though. If you don't vote for it.
Then we should put that, but we're disguising it as two pros, that's all I'm saying. And
How is the con of pro though? Don't
because
account
it's,
for me.
because we're not saying it's a con if you vote for it, we're saying it's a con if you don't vote for it.
Right, if
Which
you
is
vote
really
no,
just
it
saying
becomes a con.
It's another way to influence people to vote for it. You're not telling them what the downside is if you don't vote for it. They have a right to not vote for it,
Correct.
but we're not telling them what the downside is to that. We're saying it's only a good thing if you do vote for it, and it's a bad thing if you don't vote for it.
I'm not following. I mean, so if we don't, if it does not pass, we still owe all of these salaries. It's not that it's not that these people aren't going to get paid. It's we still owe all of these things. So in order
So-
to have all of these people be paid, if there are any sort of bargaining or anything like that, that we don't approve the transfer of the general, I'm not following what's the con, what's the true con? We have, this is an obligation of the town of Southlake, is to pay all of these things. It's contractually obligated. It was approved for the budget for the FY 23 budget. So what's the con? That we're in violation of our
The con is the debt remains.
No, it's.
no, because
You almost have to do a pro and a con for each side of the argument, so pro and a con for a yes and pro and a con for no, for it to make sense.
So we have to look at it.
That's what I mean.
Should we be approving this article? Yes, the pro is all this gets paid. Is there a con to it? There is no con to this. There is no.
So
con
is
to
that
this. We
the-
don't really have an option. We have to do this. So we should
So
come
is-
out and say there is no con.
so then that's the
We could
language.
do
then.
that.
Yeah, there is no con, it's a
as we
standard
do not
procedure.
have any options.
We have to meet our
We
obligation.
have to meet our obligation.
That's fine. That
I think
I'm,
that's how it's.
I'm fine with that.
I
I just
understand what
wasn't
you're saying, Dave.
understanding. the
Yeah,
other
'Cause
side.
that's how I was.
But I think
reading
that's a
it.
good way
Create a con by voting no, though. But that's after the fact, it doesn't matter. Right? I mean, because if we vote no, now we have a con. It didn't pass. We owe the obligation. But that's past where we're thinking.
Well, I think the voters should understand what's the upside to voting for this and what's the downside, if any.
Right.
Right? Why are they, what's their choice? If you just tell them, hey, you got no choice, there's
Oh,
only
gotcha.
upside,
Right,
and
And vote.
if you don't for it, there's bad, it'll be bad, but then you should tell them that. You should expose it and say, there's no downside to this. There's no cons that we know of.
I'm okay
There's
with
only
that.
upside.
Yeah,
I got you.
I get what you're saying now.
It's a con.
Yeah,
We're making a con where it really is, it has to be,
I
paid.
get what you're saying now.
It's dead owed, deal with
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Right, there's no con to it. unless
And
we
make
say
sure that
no.
they understand it's standard.
Yeah.
Some people don't come all the time, so they don't realize it's just standard operating procedure. Happens every year. There's always something that's a little
Yeah, I
off
got that.
or-
Yep. Now I'm with you.
Okay. Laura's not smiling, no. Laura?
Well,
right? Pros and cons. You can still say there's no con, it's a debt owed,
Yeah.
period.
We need to fulfill our obligation.
It's like if you have an
Right.
emergency repair on something,
We
there's no
still
con
have
to
to
it
fill it.
because.
Right, the con is
it
there's no con,
happened
that's all.
and- Yeah,
The pros, the pro.
Well,
So
well,
you-
yeah.
Did we verbally talk about this, or is this, it's written?
It's written. and
Right, so it's
out
written, right, so if someone says,
Yeah.
Mr. Didi, Article 1, you have no con, the con is there's no con, and I'll say, well, we owe the debt. It's that simple, you can create a con after you say no, now we have an issue.
Mm.
But until then, there is no con. Did Seinfeld do an episode on that? I think we're Right there,
I didn't want to cause it out of work.
So I'm just remembering back to last year's pros and cons too. We did have at least one, if not more, that the finance committee said, recommended it came out and stated there was no con to approving
Okay.
this. So it's not anything new for us to
Understood.
do that.
Okay.
Yep.
You don't like that though.
I just don't know whether they will take that if there's no
I'll take the
Either
heat,
way.
though. I'll have fun with them.
no, if there's no
So-
con
so-
to it, then.
Well, let's play it through. What if the voters just came in all ornery and voted no? What would happen? What would happen?
We'll schedule another meeting.
Yeah, there'll be another meeting. You know, you go into the budget at the start with the best of intentions. And people understand that you try and go out 365 days. And you've done the best you can. We have to appropriate or move $83,000 on a multi-million-dollar budget at the end of the year for $83,000 to clean everything up that we didn't have an answer for every single thing. And I think most people understand that. So there really is no cons. It's like, look, we did the best of intentions when we started. And out of this multi-million-dollar, we need $83,000 just to dot the i's and cross the t's.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do so that nobody think Laura and I are having a side conversation, I'm going to say that there's no con. But I'm going to steal language from the Article 2 last year, which literally says the town has a legal fiscal responsibility to pay bills. So it's gonna say there's no
Right.
con. We have a legal fiscal responsibility to pay these salaries.
Right.
Failure to pay would, that's what I'm gonna
Yes.
do.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Yep,
I
okay.
like it.
Half a smile, Laura?
Uh,
I was
Put it
picking up a vibe
lot easier
and
for
I
you to
didn't
ask
like.
about it.
I didn't like
No,
the
but it's all
vibe.
good, I just, yeah,
I just want to make sure.
no, it's okay.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, that's exactly, just say no con.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
No.
Laura, are you
Yeah.
comfortable with these two answers? Do we have to make a motion for these two, or we're okay in your world?
Why don't, in the end, we'll just do all the pros and cons. If
Yeah.
it's a
Okay.
short one.
Okay,
Okay?
Yeah.
yeah, well, I'm okay with. all
For
of
the,
them.
for the special, when we're done with the special, we'll make a motion for all of it, as written, okay. So Article 2, pros and cons, 235,000. What did they say last year for snow and ice? Because it's gonna be the same.
The town is allowed to deficit spend for snow and ice removal during the year and then pay later. The dollar amounts will cover the as of yet unpaid costs associated with the past winter. Costs for snow plowing and treatment of snow and ice road.
Okay,
What was the con?
The con was the town has a legal fiscal responsibility to pay the bills and balance the accounts. Failure to pay would incur certain
Okay, the same
liabilities
thing.
and non-compliance.
so there's not a con.
There
it's
is
the
no
same thing.
con. And then
It's the same.
Yeah, I got, yeah.
And then if somebody asks, well, what do you do when it's the other way? You don't spend the money that's in the budget. It goes back to this free
Goes
cash
back to free
anyway.
cash,
Okay.
yeah.
Right, goes back.
So that covers that.
Mhm.
Cool.
Okay, so Article 3,
Mhm.
it must be written from last year, because OPEB, we do it every year.
Which might be valid.
So it's the same.
Yeah, so this other post-employment benefit trust fund was created to ensure the benefit coverage of retired employees of the town of Southwick. The town votes to place a specific amount of money into the fund on an annual basis to ensure the fund will be available as needed for our retired employees. The con is if we do not contribute to the other post-employment benefit trust funds, would risk future shortfalls in the funding our employee retirement benefits.
So there is no.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Again,
That's
yep.
what
but I'm suspecting 4 is different.
So Article 4 would be, did we buy machinery last year? We must have,
I don't know.
with free
I
cash.
don't know if it came from free cash, did it?
We
That's
did
supposed to
do
be the-
some purchase out of free cash.
Paving came out of free cash.
Paving.
Right,
So that part is normal.
Well, this is really just to authorize it. So the downside or the con to this is
They don't get a truck.
they don't get trucking, we don't do paving,
Mhm.
or this portion of paving.
How did we, for the, con here? Did we have one last year for this?
For the paving,
I doubt you're gonna get a no on the paving part from anybody in town.
Yes, okay, so I,
we get no verbiage from anybody on any of this, so this is just to make us feel that we did it the right way.
Yeah,
No one speaks up. Unfortunate, they don't.
that's too bad.
They'll argue over, a
sorry,
chicken coop
I just
somewhere.
don't have
But they
the
want to
last
do
year's
over
article, so I was
$3
trying
million.
to figure out which one it was which.
Oh, geez, okay.
So I think 4 was when we were doing the capital items, so it was the article provides cost-effective way to ensure the ability of our DPW and first responders to address needs to the community. By paying for these capital expenditures out of free cash, we will be able to avoid cost of bonding and the effects it will have on our tax rate. And then the con is if this article does not pass, we would leave our DPW and first responders at a disadvantage when addressing the health and safety of our community.
I'll modify that a little bit because there's
Mm.
nothing for health and safety on it here. Yeah,
Right, strictly DPW.
Yeah.
DPW and then
yeah.
if we're gonna be
Well,
consistent, it's
There is no con to this article because we are paying out of free cash and we're not incurring debt,
Debt.
but you've already said that. But I would go, there is no.
Mhm.
Well, with the con is free cash is reduced by 675,000.
Yeah,
That
Right,
might
that-
be
that would
something,
be-
so that's what I
that's
do need
probably
to
the
say
only-
that, because that
Yep.
is.
I would say it's a con because I fought hard for that truck that's still in the goddamn budget. To me, it's a con. I wanted it out, but.
Okay.
But
But no,
we're not going
that's-
first.
you reduced that. That,
Yeah. It could be, yeah.
I've made that.
Yeah, and then there was a separate, and then last year the paving was separate,
Okay,
a separate one.
Okay.
They're combining them. So that one was, the article was necessary to repair and replace town roads that have deteriorated over the recent years for a variety of reasons. Paying for these repairs out of free cash is cost-effective way for the town to continue addressing the road conditions and avoiding cost of bonding and having our tax rate. And we combine those two. Yeah. And then if the article doesn't pass, we will continue to see further deterioration of our roads. And will fall even further behind in addressing the situation.
I think it's a 91.
No, I'm good.
you're good?
Yep.
Sure.
Yep, positive, yeah.
All right, so I'll take a motion as written for the special town meeting. Pros and cons, right, Laura? So that will,
As discussed.
Yeah.
Yeah, as, yeah.
Motion, Dr. Zaneski.
all those in favor of pros and cons for a special town meeting? Joe DDI.
Dr. Zalowski.
David Matthew, aye.
Robert Rochak, aye.
Jan DeMayo,
Believe Maria, I
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you. Paul.
have those done tonight.
Okay, so now in front of us is the warrant. And let's go through and circle the ones we have to do first, with another renumbered. Correct, Laura? They're all renumbered, yeah?
Seven.
Yeah.
8. 9. 10. 11. 12. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26,
And if they made it in, beautiful.
37,
That's it.
Okay.
So did you get my email that I was gonna put all the little everything? Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all good. I tend not to look at anything anymore.
Oh, okay.
So
So
I'm sure it's there and I appreciate your
if I
time
may
and
be
effort.
excused, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. It's good time.
Not a problem. You heading out now?
Yeah, is that
Yeah.
okay? Yeah,
Oh, yes,
all right.
absolutely.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming down.
Okay, likewise.
So next will be town meeting, right?
Is it?
Yeah, that'll be next meeting. So all I can tell you is next week is elections and you really should try to vote.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna be
For
there
everyone in this room,
early, yeah.
next week you should try to vote. No matter how you
It's a
vote,
family
you should
event.
try to vote.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you very much. Yes. So now
Have to take his spot.
you can take a spot and actually vote.
Okay, you
Thank you.
got it. You're welcome.
Make a note of that. Elizabeth,
I am, thank you.
that's it. I'm sorry.
Of course.
Right. So, everyone, we're back. So Laura, we're gonna do pros and cons, correct? And then we need to make a recommendation on articles.
Yeah.
So. According to DOR, Mr. Steinhardt. DOR does not require a recommendation from the Finance Committee for CPC warrant articles. Okay, and in the past. The Finance Committee. Might have done that. Right? So. I don't know where you guys sit on this. I'll go last. What are your thoughts?
For the majority of the articles.
Yeah.
They're already funded, so
So actually, all CPC articles are funded, other than Wally Spray Park has will have a running tab per se, right, as time goes on.
So, can we have pros and cons on?
But
One
we do
article
pros
and
and
not
cons
the
on,
other?
we're
We
doing,
do pros and cons on all.
we're doing pros and cons on all of them. It's just a matter of the Finance Committee recommends or not, the article. So
Oh,
pro-
okay,
So pros and cons we're doing, and then do we recommend or not recommend? CPC funding is there, so we do not need to recommend or not recommend CPC articles. So the pros and cons. As far as Wally Park would go, the con will be it's gonna cost us X to maintain moving forward. If that's a con, I don't know. I think it needs to be out there that there is an X that goes with it. It's not huge money. We have an email about what it's gonna cost us in our packet.
Yeah.
But I think it should be stated somewhere.
as long as we are putting that out there, that there's additional costs and we're
Right.
letting the public know.
Right.
I think we're kind of covered, so I don't have a strong opinion either way, I'm gonna recommend it or not.
Right.
But the only thing is, I want to be careful that we're not gonna set a precedent now that we're not going to recommend articles, and then all of a sudden, one huge issue comes up, and do we chime in on it or not?
Well,
That-
and you
do we-
personally, you can chime in all you want. No one's saying taking our rights away. Individually. I just don't know if I want to go into the weeds. If DOR says you don't have to recommend. And you're right. The Finance Committee in the past has recommended or not recommended articles. That were pretty significant articles. And there was pretty much a lot of discussion
Right.
at town meeting over those.
Most of them don't require
Right.
much discussion, but the ones that
Okay,
do
so-
are large discussions.
So what the
And so
record showed that
that-
this year, we're looking at what we're looking at this year. And every year is different.
Okay,
And quite honestly, someone else speaks sitting right here next year, so. He or she may have a whole different discussion of what they feel, regardless of what DOR says. Right? Would you agree with that?
Mhm.
So, any luck? Someone else have another discussion next year.
Hey, Joe,
So, yeah,
as far as the water park, okay, CPC money is gonna fund the park, but
Yes.
it's gonna be on the taxpayers to fund the upkeep on it. So I think it will be a good idea for us to make the recommendation based on that. It's not gonna be CP money or, the CPC money to keep the ongoing operation of that. We're gonna have to dig it out of our budget. Okay,
Correct, and that's, I think what we were saying is, the article is the article, but there is a funding issue moving forward.
Right,
that we're gonna have
right.
to recognize.
right. So I think a recommend from our board would be appropriate with an explanation as to why,
Right.
you look out 5 years or, 10 years, what it's gonna cost as far as the maintenance and the upkeep and stuff like that. I think that's well within our realm to make a recommendation on that.
Okay, when we get to that article, we'll discuss it. All right. So we're on the same page. So we're gonna worry about right now, first one is Article 7. Correct? Okay. And this is the pro, so what did you just hand me? Our pros and cons that were already done?
Those were the ones from last year,
Last
paid
year.
people.
Okay. All right, so everyone has the ones that we did this year?
Yeah, I didn't bring them.
Okay.
I do it.
Do you have the ones that we were working on?
Yeah,
Okay, thank
do we
you.
need copies of those?
I would love copies of those.
See some.
Just to be easier, right?
Yeah, it will.
Yeah. Hey, folks, we're just gonna take a minute break here and we'll wait for. Is there, there's no copier down here, huh?
Not yet. Where it doesn't work. Is that right?
No, yeah, isn't it one like this? No. And so we can just continue talking. In our packet today, we did get an email from Jen Willard, Superintendent of Schools, in regards to, basically, Karen had asked some questions to me about how much old debt they have rolling off, how much new debt, and that's the response from it. Karen went a little deeper to an email to me personally, saying we really need to keep an eye on this moving forward, correct, Karen?
I did, but I also pointed out that her response really didn't answer my question. Because that was about
2018,
in 2023 is replacing 2018, and I wanted to know what 2024 was replacing 2019 next year, so
right,
we're talking about the current article in front of us. So how much is that gonna cost versus debt that's gonna roll off?
right.
So she didn't really answer it, but
Betsy, did you get all that? So I can send another email tomorrow. There we go. Just so she can, because
the 2023. She gave us 2023 debt replacing 2018, and we need to know how much 2024 debt and the 2019 that it is replacing. We're talking about a current article that's going up for vote, so we need to know what the value to that is and what it is replacing. And I'll give the rest of the committee the background, because I was told a few years back that with the schools, we try to keep them at, say, $500,000-600,000 of capital expenditures each year. Just because if the wording in the article was that it just rolls off and it keeps paying, so it doesn't increase the tax rate.
Mhm.
Well, we have to make sure that what rolls off and what is being replaced with is very similar, so that
Right.
we can either keep that in or take that out. So the numbers that she gave was for 2023, I think it was $50,000
right,
in
Yeah,
interest
was
paid each year,
100%.
and 150. And that makes sense, because last year she only put forward about $200,000 because she had $900,000 in ARPA money that she spent on capital expenditures. So, and then this was first explained to me, we were talking about the school project when the school renovations were going on. They asked her to or him at the point, to reduce the capital spending to say about $300,000 for so many years. That agreement, or quote unquote agreement, expired, so now they were bumping back up to 500. So I just didn't know how everything overlaps. So we've got to check it before we say it.
no, absolutely. That makes sense, Betsy.
I think so. I hope so when we
Yeah.
can listen to the recording.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate that. So that's the background on that. And then also, Park and Rec did reach out. I sent an email. Fortunately, I've been sending emails to the chairman of the CPC, which apparently you're not supposed to do. She doesn't respond. I did not know that. I just assumed when you get in a position of a chairmanship, kind of gotta get more involved. But they do have a secretary upstairs, and she's great. I went and saw her and got the answers. So in your packet is how much money is sitting in all four categories of CPC. Because we did not know that on the Saturday meeting. They came in and didn't give us any of that information. Because technically we don't need to have it, but in the same breath,
And
how
I
can we talk about stuff if we don't know if the funds are even available?
I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised at the balances.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I don't think anything's bad there, but we need the numbers. That's all it came down to.
Right.
And then certain articles that are gonna be in front of us tonight. Same thing, the Morehouse, we knew nothing about, the young lady that is running the secretary part of our conservation,
Hold on, missing.
person and, the secretary, I believe, for CPC, if I'm saying that right. She's been great. She actually has, all the articles are online. So Morehouse, we knew nothing about. We didn't discuss it. I went up and saw her. She put the website right up, click on the Morehouse, it's sitting right in there. And there's everything, the bills, what it's gonna cost, what they're doing. So it's a great resource to have now that, provided it gets put in, which it seems to be, everything seems to be getting put in, which is wonderful. So that's the good news, that, someone's paying attention. Okay, so now we have our pros and cons in front of us. Thank you. So, so number 7 is gonna be our road construction, which,
Number 7 is number 35
thank you.
on the Word document.
Selection. Favorite. Making it rough on us, so,
You can just do words.
you know. Just want to make sure we're doing our job, if we're going to keep us in check, and I appreciate that so much. All right, farming operation, okay. So the pro, approving this article will allow the select board authorization to select board authorization to earn debt on behalf of the town. As mentioned, as a method of paying for necessary roadway construction. The con, failure to pass this article could limit the amount of roadway repairs completed throughout the town. So is that a con?
Seems like it to me.
I'm so nervous now
No,
that
I
even,
think, I think the con to this is incurring debt. The pro is you're approving it to fix the roadways to prevent it from further deterioration.
right,
But the con is that you're approving for the select board to incur debt to
do the roads.
fix the roadways. So instead of that debt authorization being in the pro, the debt authorization is the con.
How do we feel about that?
Yeah.
She's right, yeah.
This article provide select, approving this article will
Well, just think of
provide the funds.
the questions
necessary.
that are presented usually in like state elections, you know. There's usually, when I read those, there's a pro and a vote yes, pro con, a vote no, pro con. I know
That's
that,
why a lot of people vote the wrong way because they get confused.
right,
So
but
that's
there's
what
no
we're trying
easy,
not to do.
right, yeah. But we're also like,
We've done
there
it
is,
here,
there,
the marijuana question years ago. By the time the attorneys and everyone else got done with it, they did it right. So back in the day, I thought I voted yes for marijuana. But I voted no. Cause just the way I read the question, and in the end, well, you actually voted, I voted the wrong way I voted, and I didn't even catch it, and I was part of the stupid group to come up with it all,
Oh, jeez.
right? Let's be realistic.
I read it out loud. with
I'm
my
sorry,
husband,
I am
do.
so sorry, I shouldn't swear. I was part of the educated group that did it all. I got better, sorry, sir.
So it's actually-
Forgot we had one in the
What
room.
would be approving this article would authorize the funding for
Necessary
necessary
roadway
way infrastructure to prevent further deterioration. But then the con would be that approving this article, allows the select board to incur
Mhm.
debt to repair our roadways or
Incurred debt that could affect.
Yes,
incur that
Tax rate.
affects the tax rate.
I got it.
Or would you like us to do the recommendation at the same time? So we don't have to go back to that article, right? Makes
Yeah, we
sense.
can do.
Then we'll make a motion at the end for everything. Okay, okay, that's fine. So we're good with the pros and cons, and now
Mhm.
do we want to approve this? Your motion to approve, and with the motion recommend for article, right? So we're gonna recommend Article 35. Is there anyone that doesn't want to recommend Article 35?
It's Article 7, Joe.
Sorry, Article
Article
7,
7.
Yeah, good, I'm rewriting it on the sides.
yes, Article 7. No, okay, so I need him, okay, so we're all gonna recommend Article 7, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, all right. Let's go on to Article 8.
Which is 37.
Oh, thank you.
And it's
What a
pretty much
great
the
group.
same thing, because it's a borrowing authorization for the dump truck and plow, so I'll make the con the same, about incurring the debt.
And gonna,
I'm sorry? You can say,
a
do
motion and a,
you want to do it for each article? That's why I asked you.
yeah,
Okay, you do.
well, I had thought I said it, but it may be.
Oh, you said it, I just didn't hear you. And that's fair, up to me too. All right, so Article 35. So we need to make a motion for the pros and cons. That's there.
Excuse me,
Which
it's
is
Article
Article
7.
Article 7,
Who really?
I'll help you with the numbers.
Article 7, we need to make a motion for the pros and cons as written. Doctor makes a motion,
Second, Karen DeMayo.
second by Karen DeMayo. All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Horacek, aye.
Karen DeMayo, aye.
Lita Jean Marie, aye.
Okay.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
Article 7, we need to make a motion for the recommendation of Article number 7.
Motion, Dr. Motion.
Thank you.
Second, Robert Horacek.
Okay. You got that? All right, good. All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Zalowski.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Horacek, aye.
Karen DeMayo, aye.
Lita Jean Marie, aye.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you. Okay. We're doing Article 7.
Just
Good.
approving or recommending.
And that's fine. We all want to do this once tonight.
Yeah.
Article 8,
Oh.
which is actually. the second.
Yeah.
That's why I was kind of- I was
All right.
wondering, that's funny.
So we're back to Article 8, which is 37.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
So this one, I'm gonna kind of say the same thing, that,
We
you know, we've
did
got
for
our
the-
pros
Right.
and then take out the debt is the
The con.
the
That's right.
con.
That's right. Is everyone comfortable with that?
Mhm.
Okay. Is everyone comfortable with the recommendation for this article?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need a motion. For the I need a motion for the pros and cons as written for Article number 8.
Dr. Zalowski.
Second, Karen DeMayo.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Zalowski.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Horacek, aye.
Karen DeMayo, aye.
Lita Jean Marie, aye.
Thank
Paul
you.
Conley, aye.
Thank you. And then I need a motion for the recommendation of Article number 8.
Motion, Dr. Zalowski.
Second, Karen DeMayo.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Zalowski.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Horacek, aye.
Karen DeMayo, aye.
Lita Jean Marie, aye.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you, Paul. So you'll get these to her for tomorrow, right?
I'm gonna do this tonight.
Then tonight, okay. And you're okay with that, Laura?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. We can
Yeah.
always tweak them if we have to, I
I
guess,
just
but
think that, again, with
Yeah.
this, do a little vote this as you guys can.
yeah, then we'll do a motion that
Yeah.
that Laura and the chairman can go over and the last pieces of them as needed.
9 is 9.
Really?
Mhm.
Oh, sorry.
I was looking all over the place. I'm like, oh,
Article 9 is 9. Okay. What do we have? For
I just found the pros a little wordy here. Moving this, I changed it, approving this article establishes the process by which monies are spent and will allow for the transfer of reserve funds for unforeseen expenses.
Say that one more time, Karen.
Approving this article establishes the process by which monies are spent and will allow for the transfer of reserve funds for unforeseen expenses. And then I said, again, there is no con because just approving this article will prevent
The town to function.
Is there anyone against making a recommendation for that article? No. Are you okay with it, Paul?
Yes, yep.
Okay. All right, so I need a motion for Article 9 for the pros and cons as written.
Motion Dr.
seconded Karen Tamayo.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Shalowski, aye.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Rochek, aye.
Karen Tamayo.
Luigi Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you. And I need a motion to recommend Article 9.
Motion Dr. Shalowski.
Seconded Karen Tamayo.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Shalowski, aye.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Rochek, aye.
Karen Tamayo.
Luigi Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you, Paul.
Dennis, 10.
Thank you. Look at 10.
And to be wording on this too.
Yep, that's fine. And also, what are you thinking?
Approving this article provides the mechanism for establishing the related funding limits for certain departmental revolving funds used for operational purposes.
Good.
Thank you. And the con?
There is no con to this because it's approved.
Okay. Does anyone have a problem with the recommendation for this article?
Am I adding the words, there is no con where it's related, like, should I go back for the annual budget? Should I add there is no con? Disapproving this article would prevent the spending of monies on unnecessary expenses and eliminate the,
I think you should come right out.
Yeah, that's fine.
okay, just making sure.
I mean, interesting meeting all around between the PowerPoint presentations. It's such a long meeting. You know, definitely changing a lot of things. So it'll be interesting as a whole. The new version of where we're headed, I guess.
We plan on taking Tuesday off from work. It's gonna be at midnight.
We're gonna be there late, even if everything goes smooth, we're gonna be there late. I believe Mr. Mogul might be putting a bake sale together, I'm not quite sure.
Sugar. I don't know if sugar's a good idea now.
We're gonna put it against the tax rate.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I can get 200 scoops of ice cream ready to go, boom, but
I got it done.
over that $50 minimum we have, so I don't want to get full. Well, that's just not even my problem anymore. All right, so we're on Article 10. And everyone's okay, so I need a motion to approve Article 10 as written.
Motion Dr. Shalowski.
Seconded Karen Tamayo.
Thank you. All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Shalowski, aye.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Rochek, aye.
Karen Tamayo.
Luigi Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you. I need a motion for Article 10 to recommend.
Motion Dr. Shalowski.
Seconded Karen Tamayo.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Shalowski, aye.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Rochek, aye.
Karen Tamayo. Aye.
Luigi Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you. I stare at them, I won't say thank you.
There you go.
Okay.
Article 12 is Article 19 on the old pros and cons list.
Thank you. We're going
Sorry.
too fast for the audience.
11.
Audience is
Am I on 11? Sorry, I meant 11.
All right.
11 is 19. My
11 with
apologies.
19. Oh. Okay, 19. Regional School District budget.
Karen, you're not gonna get that out of here.
Yeah, Karen, where we going? Let's just get it over with.
Very, very nice. Nope. Passing this article will allow the schools to operate as budgeted, avoiding possible cuts in educational services. Where I'm kind of going with this is. Is this the one? Yeah, passing this article will allow the schools to operate as budgeted, avoiding possible cuts in educational services. Okay, that was the pro. The con is approving this article would result in an additional assessment to our tax rate as a proposed debt would be, is that the, no, I think I have a lot of writing here.
Got it mixed up.
Yeah, then what did I say here? Okay. Passing this article, allows those unfair is going to be very helpful cuts in education services. The school district was forced. If the school district was forced to operate based off of last year's budget, I kind of want to tell them that if they don't approve this, the world's not going to come to an end. What happens if they vote this down? So you're forcing it them to operate off of last year's budget. So when you, this is a question now, if they operate off of last year's budget, what is the process? Do they have to go back and try and revamp their budget for this year? What happens after that?
Oh, I think Mr. Mogul, yeah, any problems with Mr. Mogul discussing this with us? Thank you. I think we talked about it earlier, Doug, when we talked about the budget in general, if it got voted down. It's not another town meeting, you were shaking your head, because I knew you were gonna say something.
Town meeting.
Correct, but you still have to go back and look at. And then redo it, no, because if it didn't come through the first time around,
Well, that's at their peril, right? I
Right.
mean, they could say, this is our budget, up or down, but
right,
one would think they would have to go back and look at the budget and see what they could do. But they have to get, and I forget, there's the capital budget and the regular budget. One needs 2 out of 3 and one needs all 3, I think, or something like
something
that,
like that.
but the budget has to get approved. And if you don't get those approvals, you have to come, the only way for them to pass a budget is to come back to town meeting. And they'd have to go to all 3, I think. To get that.
So they would would they revert to FY 23's budget until such time that
On a
passes?
1/12 basis for a month.
1/12, each month by month.
Okay, so that's what I was going, passing this article will allow the schools to operate as budgeted, avoiding possible cuts in educational services if the school district was forced to operate based off of last year's budget. I want to tell the people what would happen if you voted this down.
Right.
Right. They wouldn't be operating on, leftover change in the couch cushions from last year. They would have 1/12, the town would have to fund 1/12 of the budget from the previous year monthly until they pass a budget.
And that's no different than the state, when the state, was it 2 years ago, had an issue with getting our budget passed, and then
The state budget,
the state budget, but it reverted to a 1/12,
correct.
same scenario.
Hang on 1 second. Two out of 3 need to pass it?
I'd leave that out,
I
because we're
would
not
leave-
sure of that verbiage.
Okay.
Check with you'd have to check with the school committee, they would know better.
Okay, so what if we just say, the school district will be forced to operate using FY 23's budget on a 1/12 basis, and I'll flash that out, but the required budget or the requested budget will then be required to go to each of the town's meetings for approval. Is that correct?
It would be a special town meeting. Right?
I don't know what you call it.
I'm just gonna,
Just say town
I'll
meeting.
flower it up, but yeah,
It's
okay.
town meeting,
I just wanted to
whether
make
it's a
sure I had
special
the
or it's whatever,
nuts and
it's town
bolts.
meeting.
Okay.
Got it, good.
The con to this.
Well, that is the con.
That was the.
Both,
we were talking
that's
about.
kind of both of them together. I don't think you want to come up with.
Pro is passing this article will allow the schools to operate as budgeted, avoiding cuts in educational services. Con is all of that junk I just said.
That's not a con to approving it. That's
Yeah,
That's
that's
the con,
making
you're
it
not
work.
approving it. So now we have to, the way we've been doing it is, what's the pro to approving it? What's the con to approving it? So the pro is passing this article would have them operate as budgeted, avoiding possible cuts in educational services if the school district was forced to operate based off of last year's budget. I'm trying to tell them what happens if you vote it down, so that the pro is. They
The
would
con is,
operate-
there is no con
the con is,
in
There.
the.
the con to approving
Oh,
it.
probably another half hour better. Boy.
Approving this article would result in additional.
Well, no,
assessments
go ahead and eat.
As a proposed
Are you going out to eat or staying?
debt would.
Okay, go ahead and eat.
Here you go.
No,
Oh, you didn't-
Oh, I'm sorry. Dinner plans.
Here it is. Okay, passing this article would allow the school district budget to become 53% of the town's total budget, with the school district proposing a 6.31% increase versus whatever that percentage is for all other departments. The increase in the school budget counts for so many cents of the proposed 88-cent increase in the tax rate. I wanted to spell all that out for the voters.
Why? Why?
It's really a
I-
fraud,
I- I'm- That's a great exercise. I'm sure you feel better about it.
but they're not,
Why?
they don't care.
Well, no, I get it. I truly get what you're trying to
Yeah.
do, but
But
now we're
make it
really-
aware that it's now 53% of
Karen,
the budget.
Aaron,
All right, I'm throwing
As
it out
opposed to
there. you
what-
I
guys
appreciate it. I-
can
I
overrule me,
I
but-
appreciate it, but Karen, you're doing so good. We can't do that. I can't do that.
Okay.
I agree with you though. And yes, you wish it could be, discussed in depth, and I truly think next year, a lot of this is gonna be changed. Whether if this board stays the same, we're gonna look at a lot more stuff earlier in the process and be more involved, whether they want us to or not. So I'll meet you halfway with that.
Okay.
So then what's our con?
Bad.
Passing the article would allow the school district budget to become 53% of the total town budget. We at least say that. to let
Yeah,
them-
I'm
let
okay
them
with the
know.
percentage.
Majority, yeah.
Because people should really, as we argue and
Maybe
try
not
to
getting
cut
into
dump
the
trucks because
the
we have no money.
nitty-gritty, but knowing that it is now 53%
Yeah.
of the
as it
budget.
ticks up and up. I'm okay with that. I'll take the heat. I don't care. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing. Being honest. Compared to what you're gonna write.
But here, can I just play devil's advocate?
Yes, please.
What was it last year? Because if it was 52% last
We
year,
didn't do it.
I'm just gonna say, so you're putting a number in my face for a shock and awe factor.
Yeah,
If
we
it's,
are. You're right. No, we are.
But if it's only a percentage higher, I guess.
but
it's
yeah,
not
so
important.
if it was 52% last year, and if it's 53, so we'll increase the. So this is what I'm saying, being a numbers person, don't put numbers in front of me unless you want to put it for me in context, don't give it to me in shock and awe,
Right.
so I'd like to compare it, so.
If it was 10% higher from one year to the next,
Correct.
I think
now
it's more
we
like
need
a
to
50
talk
to a
about it.
53%.
And I
Something
don't
like
know
that.
if I would call that out, that's the thing,
Yeah,
is
because
do we want to have that sort of
No, we don't.
vibe?
We don't.
Okay.
As much as I'm with you.
I'm with you.
Yeah, we all with you,
Cause
Yeah.
that's a big number,
but this isn't the platform to do
but
that.
if it's not a big
Okay.
number than it was in the past, then so we still don't have a con, is what this comes down to. I don't know.
Because education is education, it's a different department. It's not the same as the rest of them, so.
It's. go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, if you wanted to put a number on it, what's the most digestible number?
Yeah, we
X
never
number of
have put a
cents in
number,
your
so,
tax rate?
so
We
we're not-
haven't put a number on anything
Anything.
else.
Let them do that.
they know the math. I mean, we all joke in town that half our town's budget is the school, and now it's 53
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
versus 50, right?
Yeah.
The facts are the facts. I don't think you bring it up here.
A 3% increase.
know,
in-
There's no, because we're not talking about any increases. We're not saying there's a 2% COLA and town employees, and then, John that works at the gas station, they get a 2% raise, so he's aggravated because we pointed out that the town people that print out coupons every day got a 2% raise. So no, you don't go down that road.
I think, yeah, it's too. For the people in the town.
Right.
For us to discuss, it's perfect because we want to use it. for next
Absolutely,
year.
no, and then if they listen to the video,
But
they'll,
for them, I
hear our
think it's
discussion.
not, it's not what they're looking at.
right.
And do we really have a
I still
con?
don't have a copy.
Yeah.
Well, we
The
don't
con,
for
if we
some
don't
of the
pass
other
it, they
ones
go to
too.
revert back to 1/12 budget.
That's
back
what
to-
I think
That's
that's,
it.
That's it. It's
Yeah.
that simple.
Short and succinct.
yeah.
They still move
I think
on.
so.
Schools are open and they're going month to month off of last year's budget.
That's right.
The con is they can revert back to last year's,
Revert
revert back there or on 12 budget.
Mhm.
It's that simple.
or remain at.
We're all passionate about the schools and we're all a little agitated with them. Absolutely. But this isn't the place for that to spew out. I can't believe I said that. It's not the place. No, I'm with you. I'm just, it's the right thing to do.
I was, oh, I agree with that, but I just wanted to make sure that there's a little more education out there. You know, talking about what happens if you don't vote this,
Understood.
because I think, you know, when you said failure to pass this article would mandate cuts, and that's kind of
It-
strong and it's.
And it
like
doesn't make
intimidating.
cuts. It just goes to a 1/12 budget. and-
Right,
and
so
they'll-
that's kind of where I was getting,
Right.
tell the people what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, it just reverts back to
So-
1/12 budget.
Thanks.
Right.
We'll change that going forward now.
Which we will. So that con good enough?
Mhm.
And then recommend the school budget? Yeah, okay. good. All right, and what's the article number again? 19 over here.
Oh,
What is
my
it?
gosh, 11.
11. thank you.
11.
Sorry. I need a motion for the pros and cons as written for Article 11.
Which is a lot.
Second, Karen DeMayo.
Wonderful. All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Horacek, aye.
Karen DeMayo,
Alita Jean Marie, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you, Paul. I need a motion for the recommendation of Article 11.
Motion, Dr. Seuss.
second, Karen DeMayo.
Thank you. All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Seuss.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Horacek, aye.
Karen DeMayo.
Alita Jean Marie, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you. Moving on to Article 12.
Yeah,
Regional
which is-
School District Debt
Sorry.
Authorization.
It's the old one.
Thank you. So again, Regional School District Debt.
Just the same, along the same vein of incurring debt.
It is, except Karen did have a few questions that I didn't get answered properly. A question,
Oh, yeah, the rolling on,
the
yeah,
rolling out debt.
yeah.
Which we do have to keep an eye on. You're right, Karen, about that. And hopefully-
So maybe we just take out all the wording about the rolling off debt and just reword this?
Yes, for roll off funds for retirement bonds to be used to pay the new debt source of the school capital projects. This will keep property tax assessment lower, assessment lower. The county may will allow school district to address the capital.
I don't know if we need to change it, because regardless of what the retiring bonds are, even if it's not completely equal, taking on new bonds is still going to help keep the assessment lower than if we didn't bring on new bond, like if we brought on 0 new bonds, right?
You know,
That's the only piece that I don't agree with or understand, is this will keep the property tax assessment lower. You're incurring debt. So that increases,
But if our tax rate is based on the existing amount of debt, and all of the debt rolls off and we don't incur any new debt, our tax rate will be significantly higher than it would be if we incurred any debt at all. I'm not making sense.
No, I understand what you're saying.
but
if we did not incur any debt, your tax
But
rate would go
but the
down.
school still needs to operate. So if we're
Right.
approving the school budget at the level, then we're saying that's gonna come from somewhere else. It's gonna come from, I'm making this up, free cash, it's gonna come from an increase in taxes in order to fund the school budget, regardless of whether we incur new debt. School budget has to fund.
Right, we already did that. This is separate.
this is. the
Capital is
debt.
totally separate.
Oh, this is the capital.
So-
Sorry.
so-
Ignore me. I wasn't thinking capital. I was thinking the total budget. Sorry, ignore me.
Regional School District Debt Authorization.
Right.
Yes, yes, sir. And the
Wouldn't
audience,
their budget carry the debt service in the budget, just like our budget carries the debt service for the new debt in the budget, reflecting what's rolling off and what's maybe not rolling off. But the budget that's being funded in the article previous probably has the debt
In there.
service in the budget itself. It's not the debt service isn't coming out of the town budget direct, it's in their budget. So
Yeah.
I think someone asked a question earlier about how do we know what debt rolled off? or
Right.
The debt service of their debt is in the budget. So if there may be a year or two left, or, you know, there are 10-year bonds or whatever, and, you know, the 10 years ago bond rolls off and we're replacing it with new debt, that budget reflects the debt service such as it's gonna be for the current fiscal year.
So that's why I said, that last piece, this will keep the property tax lower.
Yeah.
I don't think we can keep that in there. It's, and I-
Vis-a-vis buying something for cash, if you had incurred that entire expense of what they're bonding out, that would hurt the tax rate.
Mhm.
Right.
So do we remove that sentence?
Yeah.
Because we're speculating that, okay,
Hmm.
yeah, let's just remove that.
And I was actually thinking now, this, the network improvements, is this the one that they are also getting the grant for? Wasn't it like hundreds of
I think
thousands of
there's
dollars
leftover
in
money,
grant?
just left over, I think, right? Wasn't that
What was the
leftover?
one that they were? in the grant?
Easter funds? Easter fund?
No, I thought,
I'm so
weren't
sorry.
they getting a grant? Weren't there like two
Never
things
gonna
that were
change.
proposed originally?
There's too
And now
many
they're gonna
acronyms.
come
of
forward
what?
with one,
No,
and
no,
one
that
gonna
gotta
go.
be grant if they would. When it comes to-
So the technology grant for the network one, right?
I thought that.
Yeah.
So,
One was the leftover ESSER funds that they had to use, so it's the boiler or something else. They were,
Right,
instead of doing that as a bonding, they're gonna.
do the boiler at Woodland. Yeah, one of them never got touched when they did the remodel. which
okay, so
Woodland-
that's why we don't see that here.
Right, exactly, right. It's not even
So-
on here. Right.
So this one, to encourage a pro to this is that, by approving this, we will also be able to take advantage of a grant, the technology grant. Because if you don't approve it this year, that grant could be gone.
Are you saying too much again?
Mhm.
Okay,
Just,
all right, no,
I
I'm
get
just,
what you're saying, but I
Yeah.
think we just, they can ask questions, people can ask questions. They,
okay.
I mean, this is all great dialogue, and I wish there was another paper that this could all go on. I mean, that's so much spoken, but when you think when they're in the audience, they would read all the other extra side notes, but there isn't.
Okay, no,
You
I'm
know,
just throwing it out there.
Because they'd be
being
thrilled that
positive
if someone
for the
found a grant.
schools.
I get what
Yeah. Oh, well, now, oh. Let the record show, what time is it? You've come so far. I'm so proud of you. I really am. What a year it's been, huh? She's promoting the school. I love it. All right,
So does that really mean then, because if they're carrying it, to Doug's point, if they're already carrying the debt service on the budget, then the con, is it as written there? Because what's the con of not approving this?
They don't get their stuff.
Yeah, they
That's-
don't get,
that's
they don't
what-
get this stuff.
Which is, this is what it
And we
says.
lose
That's what
grant
the
money.
con says. So I just want to make sure, so we're not making any any changes to the con. A no vote will not allow the school district to address the capital expenditures.
right.
No, and approving it. A pro to approving it, a con to approving it. Would this be there is no con as a no vote? Would not allow the school to address the capital expenditures. I think this is another one that we have to put, there is no con, to be consistent with what we're doing.
Okay.
Okay.
Okey-dokey.
All right, I know we'll be approving Article 12,
Yes.
that's right. So I need a motion for Article 12, with the pros and cons as written.
Motion, Dr. Zalasky.
Second, Karen Denial.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Zalasky.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Horacek, aye.
Karen Denial.
Alita T. Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you. Now I need a motion to recommend Article 12.
Motion, Dr. Zalasky.
Second, Karen Denial.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Slawski, aye.
Sherry Nelson, I.
Robert Horacek, aye.
Karen Devine,
Alita Di Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
The new 18, I believe, is the old 12.
Page 10, that says a bunch of.
Yep.
Oh, 11. Yeah, there's two that are close operating.
18, community
18 is
preservation
11, yeah.
annual budget, which is 11 on this side.
Mhm.
That figures the picture, that's so big, I mean, it's a tax program.
There is
there
a
is no con, if you not pass it.
We're okay with the pro?
It's wordy, but
It is.
it's kind of one of those, that's the way it was last year, but we can take the opportunity to change if we want.
This article allows for the transfer or allocation of monies, but I didn't have any major changing.
Do we need to keep that first couple of sentences and
Just to say-
explain it, or do we want to start with just this article outlines the transfer?
I'm good with this article outlines of transfer,
Okay,
individual.
and then take the rest out.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there any questions? I'm gonna, as listening to last year's meeting, thanks to Laura, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn everything right over to the chairman of the CPC. So that's what it says they should do. So hopefully they're well prepared. We know the funds are available, and that's all we're concerned about, so.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, we're comfortable with that, and we're
We
comfortable
are.
with the time, okay,
Mhm.
and are we comfortable approving this article?
Yes.
Yes.
So I need a motion to approve the pros and cons as written for Article 11.
Motion, Dr. Slawski.
Seconded, Karen.
I'm sorry,
Devine.
this
It's
is
number
Article
18.
Yeah.
Great, so, back to the drawing board. I need a motion for the pros and cons for Article 18 as written.
Motion, Dr. Slawski.
Seconded, Karen Devine.
Those are, Joe, I'm sorry, all those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Slawski, aye.
Sherry Nelson, I.
Robert Horacek, aye.
Karen Devine.
Alita Di Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you. I also need a motion for recommendation for Article number 18.
Motion, Dr. Slawski.
Are we doing recommendation?
Oh, that's right, DOR. We do not have to do a recommendation.
So that's up to you.
Scratch that, please. We're not gonna do any motions for Article 18 for recommendations. Okay, so Article 19,
Is the old 12.
Yeah.
okay. We're okay with the pro?
Yeah, I think so.
And the con, if we don't pass this one, there will be no.
We said none.
Yeah, there's no con. If we do not pass this article, there would be no administrative monies available to help with the program.
Right. Okay. Everyone's comfortable with that?
Yep.
Yep.
So we're not gonna make a recommendation because it's a. DOR says we don't need to for this one. All right, so I need a motion for Article 19.
Yes.
Motion, Dr. Slawski.
Karen Devine, second.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Slawski.
Sherry Nelson, I.
Robert Horacek, aye.
Karen Devine.
Alita Di Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you, Paul.
20 is the old 13.
Okay, Allen Creek Debt Service.
And it's
Continuous.
standard, right?
Standard, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna, so use the document modified to reflect what, you know. Is there with that, everyone's good?
Yes.
So we're not gonna, we're not gonna do a recommendation.
And there's no con, right?
Nope, to clean that. So I need a motion for Article 13 as written for pros and cons.
Twenty,
Oh, no, sorry.
Article 20.
Article 20 for pros and cons as written. This is.
Next year, we just do them in alphabetical order.
Well,
What article numbers, I leave a little blank.
Someone want to second that?
we'll just see what next year brings, right? Yeah, who knows what we're gonna do?
Okay, we can go around them.
And we can have. All right, so, motion was made second. All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Zalowski, aye.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Rajek, aye.
Karen Devine,
Elena Di Maria, I.
Yeah,
Thank you. And there is no recommendation, so that was Article.
20.
Here.
21 is the old 14.
Which is restoration of bronze memorial plaques. I think you're right, there were no member of the board that much better.
there's no con.
Yeah, this
Just
is
'cause
the
I
same
can't.
thing. There's no con.
There's no con.
Mm-mm.
Are we comfortable with the pro?
Yes,
Then we're not gonna make a recommendation, so I need a motion for Article 21 as written for pros and cons.
Dr. Zalowski.
Karen
Sure.
Devine,
Okay, all those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Zalowski, aye.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Rajek, aye.
Karen Devine,
Elena Di Maria, I.
Paul Conley, I.
Thank you.
22 is the old,
22,
yeah, the old 15. This seems to be going in order now.
Valley Park Spray Park.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Who was for use of community preservation funds to create a community spray park to be located at Wally Park. For the recreation community, this will create additional family oriented activities. To enhance our community and to create an amenity to attract new residents.
I think the con on this one still holds true because those, these will come in. Do we want to put in the dollar amount for the water or no?
Well, first of all, I think you get rid of new families, new residents. I don't think that should be in there. I don't think a spray park, we're gonna suggest you're gonna get new families with a spray.
I was tapping into my inner politician on that one.
Well,
So just end at community.
we still have you for another year, I
I
hope.
was looking for anything, Jeff.
Yeah, I got you. That plane was calling.
No, I just kept thinking of the con, like, oh my gosh, all of the operational expenses. I better not let my true opinion show on this one.
Oh. Oh, boy. Okay. So the con spray park will require additional operating expenses such as water usage, maintenance, costs including winterization costs and expense premiums. Yeah. will require
Yeah.
that the spray park operational. All operators. So do you want to put the funding of what it's gonna cost us roughly? Or are we going into the weeds where we shouldn't go into the weeds?
I think if we put something in writing and it comes in under or over, we're gonna get scrutinized that it wasn't as bad as we thought, or it was way more expensive. than you want me to believe.
The blame always falls on someone, right?
And it's gonna be
Never,
variable,
ever any committee that
Yes.
brought up the product. per
Yeah.
se.
based on the
It's always the
season.
last one
It'd be
talking about
variable
it.
though, don't you think?
What's that?
It's gonna be variable based on the season.
Certain.
Cause some
Absolutely.
summers are cold and you might only have 4 weeks. And others are hot from spring.
Well, the good news is we have those operating expenses.
Somebody that had a burst pipe this winter, that's all I was thinking about.
Yeah,
And then the insurance premiums, just, anyway, okay, this is not, sorry, moving on.
right.
So
When we've had water issues at Wally Park, they've been costing us 5,000 for some network here and there. but- Yeah, okay, anger, I'm a that away, I'm a that away. Okay,
okay,
so we leave it like it is,
Yeah.
and we do have that information if someone should ask, and someone from the floor may ask them,
And CPC should address it.
right, and they will. Yep,
Yep.
okay,
all right.
number 22.
Oh, hold on. So are we gonna do a recommendation? We haven't yet on any of these,
No.
so I really
No.
wouldn't, as much as
Not for any, I would.
our tongues may want us to, it's not the right thing to do. Okay. Okay. So I need a motion for Article
22.
22 as written for pros and cons.
Motion, Dr. Zalowski.
second Karen Devine,
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Zalowski, aye.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Rajek, aye.
Karen Devine,
Elena Di Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you, Paul. And we're not gonna do a recommendation, so we're good there. Article 22, the Morehouse,
23.
23, just like it
Yep,
says.
and it's the old 16, and she didn't have information at the
You did
time.
not, yeah.
I'm still relying you guys, what's going
Yeah.
on?
So the Morehouse, we looked it up. I don't think it, did it make it in our packet or no? No, that's right.
wasn't given it.
So it's. I should say that, that's my fault. They're replacing a beam, they're painting the building. And they're repairing any wood on the outside that has rot, is what it comes down to.
That's a good thing.
And if you go online tonight, you can go to the CPC website, and it's all right there for us. What it's gonna cost, pictures, they did a great job on all of these articles. They're all finally listed. And I apologize, I should have had it in front of us.
That's okay.
Are we able to pull that up on the computer? Or what?
You might, I kind of took a stab at approving this article will allow
Oh.
for the.
Laura, let's hold off a minute. We're moving forward, so I'm gonna go with that.
Article would allow for the continued upkeep of one of our town historical sites,
I would say preservation.
the preservation, yeah.
Yeah,
Approving this article would allow for the preservation of one of our town's historical sites. Not. There is no con as not approving this article, one of our town's historical sites would continue to deteriorate, something simple like that.
that's fine.
Are we good?
Finish writing.
Mhm.
So I need a motion for Article 23, the Morehouse repair, as written.
Motion, Dr. Solomsky.
There are pros and cons, I'm sorry.
Second, Karen DeMayo.
All right, all those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Solomsky.
Sherry knows that.
Robert Horacek, aye.
Karen DeMayo, aye.
Alita Di Maria, aye.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you. We're not gonna do any recommendation. Article 24, CPC also, hazardous tree removal at Old Cemetery.
There is no comment.
That is what number on our side. Number 17.
Yes, they're kind of going in order here in this page.
Yep.
We like the pro, we're saying the con is none,
There's a none,
and none,
right?
nil, nada.
We're good with that?
Yes, there is no comment.
Yeah.
All right. So I need a motion for Article number 24, as written for pros and cons.
Motion, Dr. Solomsky.
Second, Karen DeMayo.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Solomsky, aye.
Sherry knows that.
Robert Horacek, aye.
Karen DeMayo, aye.
Alita Di Maria, aye.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you, Paul. Article 25, and the same thing, we're not going to recommend. Now, we're not going to be able to recommend. Article 25, repair of slate roof and cupola at police department. Which is Article 18 in the old system.
There is no con.
But if we're following the others, wouldn't we just say none?
There is no con.
Yeah, as you said.
Yeah, so we just want to end at failure to approve this article means the repairs will not occur and the town owned building remains damaged. Is that all we want to say? Or is there anything else we want to?
Well, I don't know if damage is the right word.
That's what I think the statement,
That's what I kind of
Remains
went
in
on and
need
said,
of
allow
restoration.
further deterioration for possible leaks in the future.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, that's better. I just,
Yeah.
damage sounds like it shouldn't be in the building.
I think I read that somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
One of the things,
You probably did.
I wasn't sure, that's why I made the note of like, what's the
Damage,
damage,
Yeah.
so, all right, so it's just deterioration.
Right.
All right,
which some would say is probably maintenance, right? And then there's, well, we're not gonna stop, just shut up. Okay.
Yep.
It is an old boat,
No, some of us understand that.
it's really old.
That slight remark of me being a jerk. Okay, I need a motion for Article 25 as written for pros and cons.
Motion, Dr. Zalowski.
Secondly, Karen Demand.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Zalowski.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Roger,
Karen Demand.
Alita Jean Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you. Article 26,
I don't see that on.
you
our
won't,
old
it
one.
was,
It's
you
not.
got out of some of our paperwork
Oh, okay.
and luckily the folks caught it and it's in front of us again.
And we added it, okay.
So it's flooring replacement, Southwick Housing Authority, Depot Street. To see if the town will vote for appropriate to transfer sum of 45,000 funds to replace tile flooring in 20 common hallways with commercial vinyl plank at the Southwick Housing Authority facility, 12 Depot, which is across from the police and fire department there on the left-hand side.
Okay.
All right. So the pro is,
Is this a CP, this is a CPC.
it is a CPC article, yeah.
Yeah,
Which is housing, which is great.
so it's creating safety.
It is a safety issue with floors, right?
Yes, I would say so. So the con is, I mean, the pro is something to do with safety for the residents who live there. And any visitors walking through. Something like
And
that.
there is no con again.
No, nope.
We want to say unsafe flooring to be replaced.
Sure.
Approving this article will allow the unsafe
Or
flooring.
warm, maybe. Unsafe means caution tape.
Mm,
The
I
warm,
wasn't sure of that.
yeah,
Probably look at that.
Where'd it go? Proposal, like give us the wording.
Where is the proposal?
on the TPC website,
We'll go ahead and do that.
yeah, and they're all there
Got it.
for all the articles.
Um, oh, good. Figure that out once I look at the document.
Mhm.
Okay. So a motion for Article 26 as written. For pros and cons,
Motion, Dr. Zalowski.
Secondly, Karen Demand.
all those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Zalowski.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Roger,
Karen Demand.
Alita Jean Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you. Okay, and there's no recommendation on that.
Mhm.
Then we're going to Article 37, it looks like.
Mhm, which is the old 36.
Fiber optic broadband. I know. Now I figured out why it is. Now it's all coming together. I thought it was other reasons, but apparently not.
So this one,
Check
I-
on, his committees and boards, to see how committees and boards are doing,
Years are up.
but no, apparently not.
The
So
debt
It's
is-
all about
The
this.
debt, so this is another one where the debt is.
The long
Yep,
way.
got
A
it.
long way, yeah.
I put the
Surprised they didn't move it to the front.
approving this article would provide a funding source for the town to move forward with establishing a municipal light plant to bring a fiber optic broadband network to the town.
Mhm.
And then the con. There is, the con is the incurring of the debt. You know, provides the select board the authorization to incur debt to pay the cost associated with establishing.
Startup cost.
startup cost.
Start off,
Start.
big word.
This big one, but it's what you do, what it does.
Very for some people.
It should maintain itself once it's like you have to run. Pretty reliable. I'm 6, 7 years ago, we've had these meetings back in my other life. And never thought we'd be sitting here today. Just actually making this actually try to work.
Yeah,
That's unbelievable, because 6 years ago, I think the select board at the time was 8 million, 11 million. Are you out of your mind? We'll
then
never do
COVID
it.
hit.
Just in general, but here we are today, actually moving forward with such a great project. It's very impressive. Are we okay with our pros and cons?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
copying
just-
off of Sharon's paper.
Okay.
Or you want?
37.
Fiber optic.
Mr.
That's the bonding issue, the bonding one?
Fiber optic broadband, to see if the town appropriate a sum of money to pay costs of a design, construction, installation and startup.
That's the bond.
Correct.
Mr. Mogul, would you have any insight on Article 37?
No, it's, you guys have it covered. I mean, hopefully this will end up being like an enterprise fund, like the ambulance or water and sewer.
Sure.
And it'll cover its debt from the revenue. The previous article to this, is the second MLP vote to authorize the formation of MLP.
Thanks.
At the last town meeting, there was a finance committee recommendation for that article
Yep.
as well.
Well, so we didn't,
There were no cons for that at the special in November.
right,
Right.
Is this establishing a new department
No.
for the town? And who is gonna, and be administering all this, just out of curiosity?
Well, Matt,
yes, sir, please.
We haven't finalized all that yet, but there is not going to be a whole department of town employees operating a municipal broadband network. And this is gonna be a contracted service that we're gonna hire a firm, whether it's someone like the Whip City Fiber or South Hadley or Go Net Zero or some other company to come in and construct an operation. So that we'll own it. It's gonna be financed by the taxpayers of Southwick, but it'll be operated by a third party.
It is kind of what Westfield does with their West City. Is that what-
Whip City Fiber is one of the companies that has approached us to be the operator of that network, right? But,
Okay.
you know, there may be and it hasn't been decided yet. It'll come out of there's a subcommittee of the select board that's called the High Speed Internet Subcommittee. They may make a recommendation to the select board of what the oversight of it would be. Like Westfield has a whole municipal light board that oversees their power plus this. We won't have that. My guess is there'll probably be a committee that oversees. Like, there's a water commission, there may be a, municipal broadband network commission that oversees the operation and the contract or it may be designated to the selectmen who are the sewer commissioners, they may be the high-speed internet, municipal broadband network commissioners to oversee the contract and just the operation, but not the daily operation, but the management of the
Set contracts.
of the contract.
Yeah. And I wouldn't compare it to Westfield, I would compare it to Lanford and all these hill towns that the state finally gave funding to a few years back.
Mm.
So that's what they really did. They are the third party world. Lanford doesn't have anything more. They've, I think, subbed it out to Westfield Fiber.
Or
So-
Comcast or whatever.
Whatever,
The city
whatever.
does it and.
Yeah.
And that is, you set, the town sets a price as the operator of as the owner of the network to the user, and then you pay the city a smaller number, right? That is
So we have,
their fee per drop for the service, but you also have to service the debt. That to construct the network, it's gonna be, could be $9-10 million all in. The select board in their profound wisdom allocated $900,000 out of the ARPA money
Profound,
to profound.
profound.
900 grand, they protected out of the ARPA allocation. It's a once in hopefully a generational type amount of money that came in to kind of bootstrap this, and then, there's a $3 million bond authorization here. And you're gonna have to borrow more money as you go, but hopefully you're gonna bring in revenues as soon as you start lighting up customers. Because you don't have to build the whole thing to turn on. We can do this in pieces. And there's pieces in town that are real close to where the fiber is now. That we can get to right away.
It's running right through my backyard.
Okay, so we're good?
We'll go with the pros and cons.
Yeah.
Okay, so this article, we would like to either recommend or not recommend moving
Mhm.
forward, because it's not a CPC article.
Correct.
So, and everybody comfortable with the recommendation?
Absolutely, yes.
Just, under any pressure, depending on who's in the room, right?
Correct.
We're okay.
Absolutely not. So you guys are-
That was me joking. Okay.
What's the cons?
the kind of that you're incurring debt.
You did.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's what we have. Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Okay.
All right, so I need a motion for Article 37 for the pros and cons as written.
Motion, Dr. Solis.
Second, Karen DeMayo.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Zalowski, aye.
Sherry Knowlton, I.
Robert Horacek,
Karen DeMayo.
Alita Di Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
And I need a motion for a recommendation of Article 37.
Make sure doctors are on.
Stephanie Coogan, Savannah.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Doctors are on.
Sherry knows and I.
Robert Rochek, aye.
Dan Savannah.
Rita G. Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Okay. So you have that in your notes that we recommended that, right, Laura? Okay, 37. all right. Was that the last one?
That's it.
Well, we're done.
Well, I wasn't sure whether 36. Because we were going back online for the November.
All right, hold on, let's look. Establish a municipal light
Yeah.
plant fiber.
36, you said?
Yeah.
There's no money in it.
There's no money attached to that.
We did, I think we did.
We did pros and cons for it.
Last year,
Yeah, for the November.
right, for the first
For
strike at it, right?
Yeah,
Do we have those? You have them online, you guys are looking at them?
yeah, yeah.
Would you care to say what they say, or? Please,
Do that. So the pro was a municipal lighting plant allows the town to explore alternative internet service providers. A yes vote is the first step in the process. A second yes vote is still required at a future town meeting to proceed with forming a municipal lighting plant.
so the pro is it's this phase 2 of the yes.
Right, but I'm trying to,
And there was no funds.
I'm trying to remember. Did we do that because we knew that it would incur a cost down the road? And so I guess I'm challenging, why do we need to do a pro and con and a recommendation for 36, because we're doing it for the borrowing, but the establishment of the MLP doesn't necessarily, that article doesn't incur the cost. I'm wondering if we maybe made a mistake last year, or we did it thinking
I think you did
It
just
may
to-
in the future.
just to
have
tee it up,
cost in
because to know.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it was more of a, we're aware of this and it could cause
It will
expenses
cause
to the
expenses down the
account
road.
or to the town.
Right,
So, but now that it's broken up
Which
into
it is.
2 articles,
right,
do,
but by creating this. There will be a cost to it, even though the.
is the establish. Is the establishment of the MLP itself going to cause any other expenses outside of what the 3 million borrowing authorization?
Down the road, it may.
Okay,
3 million is the next leg to start this project.
Yeah.
That's not the end game. Hopefully it is, but it's not. Once we have enough revenue coming in for
yeah.
other users.
I'm just trying to make sure we weigh in on something that's appropriate. We don't get ourselves into it where, well, why are you weighing on this? And next time we decide not to weigh in. So I'm fine with it. I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
I'm challenging out loud.
What are your thoughts, Mr. Mogul?
Well, the establishment of the MLP is single digit thousands of dollars, right? Paperwork. You have to file with, I don't even know who all the
Right.
state agencies you have to file with to form a municipal utility. Paperwork and legal fees, right?
Okay.
The 900,000 plus the 3 million is really to actually design and construct the network itself. But the first article that was on the November
Mhm.
special was the first of 2 successive votes. The other article, not the bonding one, was the second identical article. It has to be voted twice. Finance committee said that there were no cons at that one. And
Yeah, so let's,
there's very little, if any, cost impact. And if, by the way, if they go down the bond, we could still try to do it with 900 grand and build it, one house at a time, right? Or, you know what I mean? At a slower pace, right? But it would never be, you'll never get it up and running in a timely fashion.
so do I need to take Article 36? Do I need to take that from last year's or for the November?
Unless
Was
your
it the-
position as a board has changed.
No.
last year, That it's a good endeavor.
Where is
Take
that?
that and just kind of tweak it. a
Yeah,
little
that's
bit.
what I'll do.
Right,
So
because it'll be the
say
second
it's
vote of the.
Yeah, I got
second,
it.
Right,
Second of the vote we supported the first time.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah, so to do it
No.
once, we should do it twice, and it does have a finding.
Well, we did do it once, so you'd be hard pressed not to do it the
Where
second.
is
And it
that?
does
Where
have
is that?
financial impact overall.
Do I have that?
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of, I think the first time,
I got it, I can get it.
there was a little bit of, we get 2 shots at this, so if it, who cares on the first one? But I, you know,
Take
you
a
saw it
photo
at
of
the
it,
meeting, it was.
snapshot of it.
That's what I was.
And I would, you know, but even though the article doesn't have a huge cost, it implies a huge cost because you know you're gonna have to spend money to construct that.
Yes.
We're good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm so hungry.
I got it.
Just saying.
Okay.
I'm gonna eat lunch.
So you're okay, so we need to make a motion for Article 36 as written for pros and cons. Correct? 36, Dr. I'm looking for a motion.
Dr. Zalasky, motion.
Second, Karen Devine.
Thank you, everybody. All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Zalasky,
Sherry Norton, I.
Robert Horacek.
Karen Devine.
Alita Di Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Now I'm looking for a recommendation for Article 36.
recommendation, Dr. Zalasky.
Second, Karen Devine.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Zalasky,
Sherry Norton.
Robert Horacek.
Karen Devine.
Alita Di Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Okay, and now I'm looking for a motion for the chairman and Laura to tweak any of these as needed as we move forward in the next few weeks before town meeting.
motion, Dr. Zalasky.
Second, Karen Devine.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Dr. Zalasky,
Sherry Norton, I.
Robert Horacek.
Karen Devine.
Alita Di Maria, I.
Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you. Do we have any other business tonight, Laura? Do you feel we're okay with everything we've done this evening?
Yes.
I'll take a minute and just think, is there anything else that we might be missing? Because this is it, folks, after this town meeting. And yes, you all need to be there.
On my calendar.
Well. Yes,
I already said yes.
I know, I shouldn't have said that. If you can make it, that's wonderful. If you have prior commitments, I truly understand. Okay, so I'm looking for a motion. You have a problem with your hand? You good? Yeah, yada, yada, yada.
Yes.
I'm not a good closer, am I? Okay, so I need a motion to adjourn.
motion, Dr. Zalasky.
Second, Karen.
All those in favor, Joe DDI.
Sherry Norton.
Aye.
Robert
Aye.
Horacek.
Paul Conley. Paul Conley, aye.
Thank you, Paul.
Jumping ahead.
Yes, you both got it there? Yeah,
Alita Di Maria, I.
okay. Folks, have a great evening. Thanks for watching on TV and we'll see you soon.